safe and equal in the event of a flood, earthquake, or wildfire. Disasters can happen anytime and anywhere. Some happen without warning, whereas others can be predicted. It is important that blind and partially sighted people and their family members and personal assistants are also prepared for disasters. What to do before the disaster? Slovenia is frequently hit by disasters. To make sure you are prepared, identify whether you live in an area at risk from floods, earthquakes, or wildfires. The instructions on how to prepare for and deal with disasters. Possible ways to contact the 112 number. In the event of a major disaster, it may happen that the assistance of emergency services is not immediately available. Electricity, natural gas, and water supplies are disrupted. Sewage and heating systems are damaged. Telecommunication systems don't work. Access to shops, pharmacies, doctors' surgeries, and so on is blocked. Consider what problems you might have in the event of a disaster. Create a social network of people who can help you. These can be relatives, friends, neighbors, or co-workers. Agree on how they would help you during and after a disaster. Bear in mind that these people may not always be available or may not be able to reach you. When you are asleep, always keep your glasses and white cane in the same place, for example, next to your bed. Make sure you and your home are safe and secure. For protection against earthquakes, fix the furniture to a wall or other support. Place large or heavy items on lower shelves. Do not hang heavy framed pictures or mirrors above beds and seating areas or similar locations. For protection against floods, in rooms subject to flooding, lift furniture and other equipment off the floor. Floors and walls should be made of materials that can be cleaned and dry quickly. Ensure that rainwater drains smoothly around the house. For protection against wildfires, keep the surroundings of buildings tidy. Keep combustible materials at a safe distance. Remove tree branches and dry grass. If you cannot do it yourself, ask relatives, friends, or neighbors for help. Protective measures such as evacuation, reception, care in accommodation facilities, embassy protection, and other measures may be ordered to ensure the safety of the population. In the event of evacuation, follow the instructions of the competent services. Say that you need help. Take the essentials that you have prepared for the event of an emergency with you. Consider your needs and the needs of your family members. Take your guide dog with you. Upon arrival, registration is carried out and the most urgent care is provided. Tell the staff what help you need and what your limitations are. Inform your relatives where you are. What to do during a disaster? Earthquake. If you feel the ground shaking and swaying and hear furniture and objects moving and falling, it is likely that it is an earthquake. Together with your guide dog, look for shelter under solid tables, indoor frames, in load-bearing walls, or along interior load-bearing walls. Squat down, bend your head to your knees, protect your head with your elbows and cover the nape of your neck with the palms of your hands. If you're trapped in rubble after an earthquake, stay calm. If it gets dusty, cover your mouth and nose with any protective covering to hand, a handkerchief, part of your clothes. Strike an object against a metal installation or a wall at regular intervals to help the rescuers find you. call for help from time to time. Flood. If you hear water entering the building or feel it under your feet, move to a higher floor. When out in the open, move to a location that cannot be reached by the rising water. Do not cross a watercourse, even if it only reaches up to your knees. Wildfire. If there is smoke in the air, close the doors and windows and turn off ventilation and air conditioning systems. What to do after a disaster? If you live alone, get in touch with people who can help you. Ask them to inspect the damage to your building and equipment and to help you remove the consequences of the disaster. Earthquake. After an earthquake, a building can be damaged and furniture, equipment, and objects in the home can be displaced or knocked over. There may be debris on the floor. This can pose an additional risk to blind and partially sighted people. In the event of a drinking water supply disruption, follow the instructions about boiling water or use bottled water. Have the plumbing, sewage, gas and electrical installations and flue devices professionally inspected. Flood. Flooding can damage buildings, flood basements and lower floors, move furniture and equipment, and deposit mud and debris. Accept help from others to pump water out of flooded premises, remove debris and clean, disinfect, and dry rooms and equipment. Ask for help to inspect food that may have come into contact with the flood water. Wildfire. Follow the instructions of the competent authorities on how to return to your home. Ventilate a building when there is no smoke or smell of smoke in the air. How to approach blind or partially sighted people. When communicating with people who are blind or partially sighted, consider ethnical principles and the equal status of the other party. Be respectful. Get the person's attention. Speak first and/or gently touch their hand and introduce yourself. Describe the situation or hazard. Ask if they need help or an escort. Guide the person by offering your elbow. Adjust the speed of movement or walking to the person who is blind or partially sighted. Walk one step ahead of them. Draw their attention to obstacles. If the person has a guide dog for the blind, they should take it with them to guide them. If the person uses a white cane, they should take it with them. Use short, clear messages when communicating. Replace non-specific words such as here and there with a description of the situation. Straight ahead there is. To your right there is. Avoid nodding and other non-verbal messages. Check that the person has understood the information. Provide information to blind or partially sighted people in a format that is acceptable to them. Large black print, text in braille, e-format. Read written materials or provide audio playback of information. Emergency call 112. In any EU country, you can call 112 at any time and free of charge if you need emergency medical assistance or help from the fire brigade, other emergency services, or the police. When making a call to 112, remain calm and tell the operator who is calling, what happened, where it happened, when it happened, how many are injured, what the injuries are, what the circumstances at the scene are, what help you need. You can dial 112 anytime and free of charge from a landline or a mobile phone, even if your account is empty. Data on calls to 112 number are stored for 6 months. Misuse of the call to this number is a punishable offense. For more information on preventive advice, see www.gov.si. Part of the text of this leaflet has been adopted for Braille readers as appropriate. Published by the Ministry of Defense, Administration of the Republic of Slovenia for Civic Protection and Disaster Relief. Concept, illustrations, design and page break. Studio ID DOO Dobravlje. Translation Vlasta Deželak, Ministry of Defense. Proofreading Just Carey, Just English Language. Adaptation for easy reading Risa Institute. Sound recording Union of the Blind and Partially Sighted of Slovenia. Braille adaptation Union of the Blind and Partially Sighted of Slovenia. Print Graphics DO. Circulation 12,000 copies. Ljubljana 2022. This text was created within the project Safe and Equal in Emergencies. See me.